Welcome to the channel. This is Captain Dan here with Goober Time Guide Service. In one of our recent videos, we reviewed the Flopbox 10 from Flop Industries, and this thing is one of my favorite pieces of kit ever. If you haven't checked that video out, make sure you go check it out after this, because this thing's pretty cool. Now in that video, we promised you we'd make a bigger version of a bait tank that can hold some bait for longer periods of time. On our channel, we do have a big 100-gallon stock tank that we made a bait tank in, but to be honest with you, I had to shut that down because the dog, she kept swimming in it, so we've got to do something different here. Now Goobers, I'm not saying you have to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, but if you don't, rumor has it that every time you catch bait, it's gonna go in your live well and die from here on out. So the easiest thing you can do is give that a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, because I wouldn't risk it if I were you. Now back to our video for today. We've got a build coming up that's pretty easy, pretty fun. It doesn't take a whole lot of time either. You can build this portable live well for about $100, especially if you look around on Facebook Marketplace, which is what we did. The entire inspiration for this build is this little cooler right here. This is quite a bit bigger than the Flopbox 10, and this is what I'm gonna do to hold bait for a couple days at the house. I'm not gonna keep bait in here for a couple months, but they're gonna thrive in here for a couple days. So follow along if you want to see how we build this thing. As far as supplies go, it's pretty simple. You're gonna need some aeration bars. We've got a pretty special pump coming up, so I'm gonna put 2 aeration bars in there and some aeration tubing. Now, depending on the pump that you buy, some of them come with aeration tubing, so maybe order your pump first. I've got this one linked down below. This is a pretty cool one, and it does come with some aeration tubing, so you might be able to get away with just that, but I'm not gonna use it. I've used this stuff in the past, and it's pretty high quality stuff. Now, our main build right here is gonna go off this plug-in double pump right here. It's got 2 outlets. That's why we have the 2 stones and the 2 hoses right here. So if you're not going to do a double outlet, you might only need half these materials. And we've also got an extra pump that we'll show you in a little bit that is going to work on the water and make this thing portable. Aside from that, you're just going to need a drill bit that matches your hose tubing. This is a 7/32, which I think is going to be pretty close, and a little bit of double-sided tape. Nothing left to do but jump into this project. Let's go. I'm going to start by opening up my aeration tubes. Based on my cooler, I took some measurements, and I'm going to get away with 14-inch aeration bars, double of them in there. So we're going to be able to pump some serious air into this water. You're gonna take your aeration stones and flip them over. There's a flat edge, and there's a coarse sandpaper type textured edge right here. This is the part that goes up. We need to put some double-sided sticky tape on this right here. And if you're wondering where to get any of these materials, I've got it all linked down in the description below. So head on down there, check them out, and use those links. It really helps the channel out. So there we go. We've got our tape on the back side of these right here. I ran out of red, so I had to go to the other side. To be honest with you, this tape is really some of the most expensive part of the build. I got my cooler off Facebook Marketplace for about 10 or 15 bucks. So the tape being almost 20 bucks is really the most expensive part of the build. I'm gonna make sure those are really pressed on there tight. With this clear tape, you can see any air bubbles in there, so get that all pressed out. Really take your time, because we're gonna have these submerged in water. We wanna make sure there's no air pockets down there. We don't want any water getting behind it and starting to wear away at the adhesion. Now the fun part, I don't know about you, but if you've ever worked with this stuff, it is a pain in the butt to peel off, so sometimes a razor blade helps. I'm gonna see if I can get lucky here and get these peeled off. All right, we are all peeled off and ready to stick these on. Pro tip that I learned, take your razor blade and score down the center of the strip, and then you can peel it either way. Just don't go too deep into that sticky pad. Now there are other options. I was about to pull out the marine goop and stick that down, or maybe even the 5200. So I'll leave those linked down below if you don't want to deal with all that double-sided sticky tape, because it's a pain in the butt. Let's jump on over to the workbench to finish this up here. All right, here comes the most challenging part. Start with a clean cooler, and I promise mine's clean. It's just used, so it's never gonna be perfect. But take your double-sided sticky tape, pay attention to where the nipple is, where you can attach your hoses. I'm gonna put both of mine into this back corner, and you'll see why here in a second. So I'm gonna put them at an angle. Remember, I'm going double. If you aren't gonna buy the double pump, you only need to do one of these, but I really want a lot of air coming into this thing. Now I opened up my air hose tubing right here, and it looks like these are about 8 feet long. I guess I could have read the package to see that, but I'm really only gonna need one of these. So I'm gonna take it and just cut it in half with my razor blade. I just folded it in half, found the midpoint, and there we go, 2 hoses. That's gonna be plenty for what we're doing here. I'm gonna take each one of these and stick it onto the nipple end here. If it's not going on easy, bust out the heat gun or a little bit of boiling water. Once those are a little warm, it should be pretty easy to slide them out. Now the reason I put those aeration stones on an angle is so I can route that hose right at the side of my cooler and punch it right out the side here. So that's what we're gonna do. 7/32 drill bit should be just about right. We're gonna go right through this corner, up above the water line, so get that up there nice and high. And now it's just a matter of routing your tubing through, and if you're doing double, just kind of make it clean. The one on the right goes through the hole on the right, obviously, and the one on the left goes through the hole on the left. Think about how much extra you want on the outside here. I'm gonna leave about 2 or 3 feet and chop that off. Now here's the beauty of the way we set this up. We've got our hoses coming out right here. That tubing is fitting really nice. If you're worried about water leaking out, just marine goop it or something. Now what I'm gonna do next is take my little pouch from my 4-reel fishing towel. It's got a little loop on it here. I'm gonna put a zip tie through that. And on my particular cooler that I have, it's got a little bit of a gap back here where this handle goes. So I'm just gonna zip tie that up here, and you'll see why in a little bit. So don't click off the video yet, that's gonna be important. Now the idea here is with these 2 hoses popping out here, you're gonna take the 2 outputs on your pump, connect your hoses up to those outlets. Okay, now you've got your 2 hoses going in there. All it's left to do is plug it in. And if you're gonna go with the single aeration line, what I recommend is getting this portable pump right here. I've got the specs pulled up on Amazon right here. This is good for a 5 to 20 gallon tank. On normal mode, it'll run on battery power for 24 to 30 hours. And on intermittent mode, you pump those run times up to 30 to 36 hours. So there's some serious run time on this bad boy right here. You could take this on the boat and keep your bait alive all day and into the next day with that. Now the entire reason we put this pouch right here, all you gotta do is hook your line up to your battery powered hose, tuck everything down in that pouch. Now you've got a nice little package. You can even take your extra hose and shove it in there. You've got a nice little package you can put on your boat, and this stuff's not gonna get in the way. You could even use the clip on the back here and a zip tie anywhere on your cooler, like maybe around this handle, and just clip that right over the zip tie, but I wanted to use my cool little pouch here. And let's go take a look at a comparison versus 2 bubble lines versus 1. We'll show you how this whole thing looks. Now I really like this cooler because it has a really low drain valve and wheels and a handle. So that makes transporting a lot easier once you've got this thing full of water. Speaking of which, let's get it filled. So here we are with our double hose rig hooked up. We've got our pump plugged into the wall. This is really the way I want to design this tank. I'm gonna use this at home. I'm probably not gonna take it on the boat too much, but at least I'll have that option with the battery powered tank. But nonetheless, 2 hoses plugged into the wall, pumping out quite a bit of oxygen into that water right there. That bait's gonna live for days and days and days as long as it stays cool and has plenty of oxygen. Now I'm gonna take one of these hoses and unplug it so we can see what happens to the bubbles here. Okay, now we've only got that back bubble aerator stone in action, which is still putting quite a bit of air into the water, but not as much as the last one. I'm gonna hook that second hose back up and you can see just how much more bubble action we have going on in there. So I'm gonna be running this double hose as much as I can when I'm running this bait tank at the house. And for the last bit of our experiment, we're gonna take 1 hose and plug it up to the battery powered tank, see what that looks like. Now remember, the double hose is rated for 20 to 100 gallons, so that's really meant to pump out some air. This is only 5 to 20, so it's not gonna be as good, but it should still be able to hold us over on the water. All right, so now we've got some oxygen going in that water. It's doing okay. That's enough to keep your bait alive for a couple more hours out on the water. So write down in the comments and let me know which setup you think works the best, or what you might use if you were gonna actually set this up for yourself. Now, if that video was helpful, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and go put some live bait down in the water and see what you can catch on it. Now, if you like this video, we've got 2 more I've linked down in the description below, the ones I mentioned earlier in this video, so go check those out until we launch our next video. Thanks for watching.